This is winding down here. They're chanting BlackRock, get off it, put people over profits. And you have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 people up here that are, looks like risking arrest, where they're not going to move away from the front of BlackRock's building. By my count, it looks like there's between 100 and 200 people here before breakfast, which is pretty good. 100 to 200 people before breakfast. Not bad. Beautiful song, beautiful messages, and BlackRock, never mentioned in the corporate media, is the largest investor, financial investor in fossil fuel projects. Particularly, it is the largest investor in deforestation. We know what's going on in the Amazon. So I did see some comments in the live chat. What does this do? It's nice, but this doesn't do anything. I disagree, actually. Obviously, the people in that building don't give a damn about this particular protest outside. They just look at these people as riffraff, get rid of them. A few people will get arrested. But it matters because the more events like this, the more protests like this, the more awareness you raise and get more people involved. That's how change happens. You got to get more people aware and more people involved. So, very cool protest. It said on the page that I saw 80 people, but definitely between 100 and 200 showed up. This morning, you even have a young kid, looks like she's no older than 5 or 6, maybe 6 or 7, that was chanting along with the adults. You had diversity of speakers, this and that, and this is New York City, so obviously you could have protests like this at any time of the day. Let's see if we could get an interview or two. Looks like, I feel like what we have here is a bunch of plutocrats hanging out by the pool as the house is on fire behind them. That's what's going on in the world. Could you kind of talk about what inspires you and the people out here to come out? This is not your first rodeo.
No, and it's 8 a.m., so those of us in the outer Bronx had to get up really early. I think this is about taking the defense of the earth to a more pragmatic social movement level.
No blood for oil, leave the profits in the soil. No blood for oil, leave the profits in the soil. No blood for oil, leave the profits in the soil.
You always trespass. You always go into the space that is being claimed by the powerful. They call you trespassers. That always happens. You know, whether it's peace, women, labor, you know, civil rights, whatever that was. And the environmental movement has been conservative in that sense. Our process has been conservative. So I think that it's starting to dawn on us that we can shout out in the public squares until we're blue in the face. And they're up there, and they're allocating millions and millions of dollars to the destruction of life. We have to find a way to penetrate. Through the ceiling, through the roof, through the basement, through the sideways, through the Starbucks cappuccino machine, through in culture, in religion, in business, in government. We have to get to them. We have to find out how to do that. So they've had a free ride for a long time, and here we are in this Blade Runner future with just a few years to go before we can't turn around. This feels so good to be here today! It feels good. I think one reason it feels good to get up at 6:30 in the morning and find your way to the subway. Because we are the earth.
Yes.
We are the fire and the flood.
Yes.
We're not operating in a vacuum. We're not trying to be centrists anymore. The children, the 14-year-olds who are finding their love of the earth, they're not claiming to be centrists. They're not moderates. We must be as radical as Mother Earth is right now. Amen. The spies who are recording us, the executives up on the top floor, we will love them until they cannot hate us. And when I say us, I mean the earth.
Yes.
Right. We are the earth. We are the animals going extinct. We are the plants. We are the amphibians. We are the bacteria. We are agents, radical agents from the earth. And we are here. We hope the EPA turns around. We want the Sierra Club to win its lawsuits. But I can tell you that there's only one government that can stand up to this extra legal $7 trillion crime spree we're facing.
What's that?
And that is the earth herself. She is teaching us with her superstorms. She's giving us a message. We can't just say, oh, that's menacing. Oh, that's a kind of terrorism. Oh, that's God's major force. None of that works. She is us. We are her. We are the flood. We are the fire. If we're not called trespassers, if we're not called terrorists by the people who run the press up there, then we're doing something wrong. Every social movement that ever changed people in the United States took that risk. They were called those names, and they all had a faith. They were all risking their life and limb because they believed in something more than themselves, something deep in themselves. And we love the earth. She is our superior being. She is in us, and it will make it possible for us to do things we cannot imagine. We will penetrate the armor of this building. We will pass through its steel. The Trumpian walls keeping us out will fail. We will be the resurrecting estuary, the mountain, the alpine glaciers coming back to life. We will not be the silent spring. We will be the shouting spring. Amen. Hallelujah.
And I think one of the things, the United Nations report that said we have 12 years until irreparable damage, that report was before the Amazon was on fire.
I know.
So, the timeline seems to be escalating even more and more.
Accelerating from the beginning. It's been accelerating from the most dire predictions by the Earth scientists, because we had no way of anticipating the way that different events in the Earth would empower other events in the Earth. What do they call that? The tie-ins. What do you call that? And so that more dark water takes in more sunlight, warms it up more, less ice makes more dark water. That whole cycle is going on everywhere. It's going on everywhere. It's all speeding up. And the last time carbon dioxide climbed at this rate, 95% of life disappeared. So at what point do we say that's an emergency? I'm in trouble.
And you spoke about centrism's not going to get it done anymore. No. We know some of the Democratic Party's leaders talk about a middle ground. Obviously, Bernie Sanders has a $16 trillion plan. Some other candidates have less so. What's it going to take? Because obviously BlackRock's got CNBC on its side. Obviously, the corporate media is owned by multi-billion-dollar corporate conglomerates. And you have a Democratic Party that takes a lot of money from these institutions, too.
I think it's the wrong question, what's it going to take? Because we didn't know that the Earth would start accelerating at this rate. So we could never have asked that question and answered it accurately before. What makes us think we can now? What makes us think we can now is the Industrial Revolution, is enlightenment, is our privilege, is our colonizing, is the habits we have of consumerism, of being able to estimate everything with data and so forth. Those days are over. We're out in magic land here, white man. Amen. It's another day. And so every day we've got to review, every hour we've got to review, and we've got to escalate ourselves.
And my viewers want to know, where do they get the orange jumpsuit?
Well, when I go into a thrift store, my eye goes down the suits, you know. And people throw this beautiful stuff away sometimes.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Appreciate it.